Welcome everybody. I need to say who I am. Yeah, Phil Beckwith, the professional painter and decorator, back at you with let's just say another ceiling paint that we need to try. Now, big shout out goes to Scott at paintmonster.co.uk because he's the guy that supplied me with this. You'll see a paid sponsorship in the corner. I've not been paid. The paid sponsorship more relates to the Amazon storefront that I've got, but Scott over the last 12 months has supplied me with bits and pieces, and he's also sent me little products to try out, and he said, Phil, have you tried the Teknos ceiling paint? And I went, no. So here we are today. He only sent me 2.7, which is like a 2.5 litre tin. So I've had to wait till I've been on a job where I've got a little ceiling to do, because I'll be honest, ceilings, you need nearly 5 litres, don't you, if it's a decent ceiling. So small ceilings, this is just enough. So now's the time for me to actually come and try this paint out. Now, if you don't know about Teknos, they're a Finnish company, not a finish as in finished, like surface finish, as I'm just rubbing a varnish door. I'm on about Finland. So it's a Finnish company. They make various water-based paints, and if you look at the playlist there where I've done product testing, you see where I've used the Teknos Futura Satin 20 and the Gloss 90. Very much a hybrid paint, but please watch that video. I'll do a link to the Futura Aqua 90 just there. But no, Scott supplied me with this, so this, I don't want to call it a freebie, it's just a sample product, and I get lots of sample products. And if you see, I'm sporting a lovely t-shirt that I probably picked up from the painting and decorating show that's round about November time each year in Coventry. So nobody sent me a t-shirt, it's more of a case of somebody hands me a t-shirt and you go, oh, does that fit? Because a lot of them don't fit, and this one fits. So I thought it was very sporting that I've got a Teknos t-shirt to wear, albeit it's a very dark blue and I'm painting the ceiling with a roller. Never mind. Right, let's talk about the paint. It's supposed to be a flat paint, and with it being, I'll say, with it having the TeknoCeiling O2, I'm wondering whether the O2 is the percentage rate. Is it, does anybody know that it's a flat paint for ceilings, which is good. The biggest gripe for me is when people are using vinyl mats on ceilings, and also some contract mats. You can actually see flashing and you can see roller marks, and that's because those paints that you're using aren't really geared up for, they're not really an anti-reflex paint. And when we talk about anti-reflex paints, it's the anti-reflex paints are the ones that give you a flat finish with, when you've got critical light shining across it, it's not making the surface look, you know what I mean, rough. Probably that's a good way of putting it. If rough, if you've got an anti-reflex paint, it does even out a rougher surface to make it look flat, which is what you get when you go for a flatter paint. Obviously, you already know if you go for your vinyl silks, your soft sheens, the more sheen or shiny or glossy the surface is going to be, the more critical it is to the surface that it goes over. That's why the flatter the finish, the flatter the surface will look. Now, these paints that are coming through, and you've seen probably me testing other paints, are geared up for flat white ceilings. The AR2, Tikkurilla's AR2, Jurga anti-reflex paints, and even if you saw a few weeks ago, I was testing out the Isomat ceiling paint, all very flat paints and all very good for ceilings. So it stands to reason we've got to try another one out, and this has come from paintmonster.co.uk. No money's changed hands other than a free sample's come to me. So nobody shout at me to say I'm endorsed by anybody, because I'm far from it. I am waiting for Porsche to give me the shout out, and I will obviously say Porsche are brilliant. Not that I've ever had one. I've seen one, I've cleaned one, but I've never had one. I'll get my coat. Gone and made a cup of tea and come back. Right, let's talk about this paint. There's not much information on the back. It does say if you're going over bare surfaces, there is a specialist primer to use. We've got, I would think that's on this ceiling at the moment, a contract mat, so we're all right. We're already pre-painted surface. So I'm hoping this will go on nicely. I have mixed it up. It does feel quite thick in the tin, and I have done a bit of spot priming. And you're going to say, what do you mean spot priming? Well, where I'd had filler on the ceiling, particularly where nail heads had popped, and you know, where you have to knock them back or screw them in if it's a Phillips screwdriver. I've done that. I did that yesterday with the fillers that I use, and I was using the Tripette. This is the interior filler. Me only knot with some of these fillers now, they're 12 hours to dry. And if you try and do it any quicker, sometimes you pull them out. But anyway, these holes were double filled yesterday. They've been nicely dried overnight, and I've sanded them, we'll say it properly, sanded them down this morning. And all I've done is I've got a nice 2.5 inch, Two Fussy Blokes brush. They're a little bit soft for me for woodwork, but they are all right for touching in things and just bits of touch up on painting. So I've just gone around with the Two Fussy Blokes 2.5 inch brush and spot primed, scrubbed out a bit of this emulsion over those fillers, just so we don't get any filler flash. And if you're going to say filler, what yeah, filler flash. What's filler flash? If you didn't spot prime your filler, a lot of paints, and I will say most paints, because there's always going to be some smart aleck that's going to come back to me and say, oh, if you use such and such paint, it doesn't matter. Or if you use so and so filler, and I know what filler you're on about, because if you use Tikkurila Presto F, that's a very good filler that doesn't show flashing through paints. But anyway, if you're an amateur, if you're a semi-pro and you're not really knowing these things, if you've got bare filler areas, spot prime them, just scrub a bit of emulsion over them, particularly the emulsion that you're going to use, just so it takes out that porosity for when you put that first coat of paint on. So in effect, where the filler is, that'll have 2 coats of paint by the time you put that first coat on. That makes sense. And then by the time you've done your second coat of emulsion over a surface where you've spot primed, the spot primed areas have had 3, because you've actually already taken out that porosity of that filler with that first primer coat, and not with the first coat of paint that you're putting on the surface. And if you didn't do the priming, when you come around to look at a room and you say, oh, I'll give it 2 coats, why can I see my filler? And it's because that filler's taken in those paint layers and it just looks like it needs another coat. So that's, I'm telling grandmother how to suck eggs again. So anyway, not much information on the back of this. It doesn't say much about thinning, but having just spot primed with it, I don't think I need to add any water to it. Albeit I do have a jug of clean water with me just in case, but for the first coat I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to be going around cutting in, and I do quite like these, and if lick brushes are listening, you've got to do a 4 inch in these. This is the 3 inch lick brush, which is a nice emulsion brush. It's a nice brush for applying paint, particularly when you're cutting in ceilings, and also if you've got small areas that you can brush emulsion and paint. It's that. I won't be using this for woodwork, I won't be using this for trim. This is for more for getting paint on like your emulsions, or on a big surface area. If you've got, I don't know, if you've got varnished doors, you could probably get away with one of these in a 2 inch or a 2.5 inch, but I'm going on, aren't I? Right, cutting with that, and my roller of choice today is the medium pile, and it's the Rotor Gold rotor sleeve. Really nice, really impressed with that. This is just a little bit damp from the day before when I've used it, but I've not washed it out. And I've said to you before, if you bed your roller into your paint while you're cutting round, so bed it in, then go and cut in, you'll find that the paint actually does soak into the roller to impregnate it ready for rolling. A lot of people have got this thing that you'll wash it out. Yeah, you wash it out and then you don't get enough water out of it, and then it's oozing out water from everywhere. But you'll learn, that's what I'm here for. So, right. I'm not going to subject you to actually painting this ceiling. I'm going to click my fingers and it'll be done, and I'll come back and just give a bit of a roundup of what it's like for that first coat, and then I'll do a second coat. Again, you won't see me doing that, and we will do a sum up of what it's actually been like. And I'm expecting drying time 1 to 2 hours, so within 3 hours. So I'm first thing in the morning, I'm expecting to do this in the next half an hour. Come after lunchtime, I'll get a second coat on it, and then once that's dried off mid-afternoon, I'll come and just do the recap. And while I've still got your attention, I'm going to say thanks to all the people. Dave, Rhonda, there's another Phil, and a few other people, I don't want to mention everybody's names, they are pressing that give thanks button to help support the channel. So there's a good number of you that's doing that, and I'll say thank you very much, because that does keep me going. And I don't mean keep me going financially, because we're only talking about small numbers, but it does give me that, yeah, it spurs me on to do more videos. So thank you very much to all you guys and gals, because it's not just boys, it's girls as well. So I'm going to go like that, and then when I come back, this ceiling's going to be done. So we'll go like that and I'll fade out. Well, I'll have to do it. I thought somebody might do it for me. I'm back with you. That ceiling's been done about an hour, and I came off camera and I've actually checked the spec sheet on that, and it does say drying time between 30 minutes to an hour and recoat time after that hour. So I'm just going to get my woodwork rubbed down and dusted off, ready for doing my walls. A bit later on, I'll probably get a coat on those today, but I think in the next half an hour to an hour I'm going to give it a second coat. The first coat applied really nicely. I didn't need to thin it. It actually went on quite smooth. I'll say the word smooth. That 3-inch lick brush was actually nice to apply it. Roller, you can probably tell I'm not actually covered in loads of splatter. Now that's probably down to me using, this time round I've used a medium pile roller, and also the paint isn't thinned down. Now if you remember when I did the video about the Isomat ceiling paint, I had to thin it and I put 5% of water in it. Now I did find that my arms got a little bit splattered. Using this paint, with it not being thinned, and also with my roller sleeve being a medium pile instead of, sometimes I use the longer pile depending on the surface, a longer pile of the roller sleeve that you use for the Isomat, I was getting a bit splattered. This I've not got splattered, so I'm quite happy with that. And I know you're going to say to me, what sort of price? You're looking for a 10 litre tub, which is 9 litres of paint in a 10 litre tub. You're looking about 52 quid if you look online. That 2.7 is around about 20 odd quid. So price wise, it's not bad at all. And so far so good. I'm liking the whiteness of that. And as I'm standing here looking at it, it looks flat as a pancake. But when I come back after I've done the second coat and it's all dry, I'm going to get up there and show you what I mean about flashing over a ceiling when you look at a main light source, because that's where you'll tell. So catch me later. Let me get this woodwork done and I'll get this ceiling coated up and finished, and then we'll review it. Right, I said I'd be back when I'd got a second coat on, and that first coat, as I found out, 30 minutes to an hour, and that's drying off, and you can recoat after an hour, and I did do. It was probably 2 hours in that I gave it a second coat. I have to say, I'm very impressed with that, very impressed. Now you're going to say, why is it an impressive paint fill? I've cut that ceiling in and the second coat goes on a dream. It wasn't thinned, as I said to you earlier, seconds ago. It cut in nicely all the way around the outside. Oh, we're going... Did you get that one from the last video? Going around the outside, yeah. Double Dutch, yeah. We cut it in and we rolled it and everything was tickety-boo, really nice. I watched it dry off over an hour and I kept my eye on it, standing at that back of the room, which isn't a very big room, looking towards the light. I couldn't see any flashing. And I'm really impressed with that. It's as flat as a pancake. It's a nice white. I won't say it's a brilliant white. It's a good white. Flat as a pancake, and opacity it seems to have covered nicely. I expect it to cover nicely over white. Even actually around the edges where we'd got a cream on the walls before, and I've actually first coated in this room this afternoon. So we've got a bit of a grey on now, just really so you could see the difference between the grey and the white. Even going round, cutting in and going onto the wall slightly, it was seeming to cover nicely over that cream. So I don't know how it would be over a darker colour. You'd probably need 3 quite possibly, but it is supposed to be an obliterating white paint. But I think 9 times out of 10 we're going over ceilings that are white, and we're just refreshing doing white ceilings again. But what's interesting about this, if you do read the technical data sheet on it, the full curing time for this, don't panic, Mr. Mannery. The full curing time for this is 4 weeks. Now what that means is it'll be at its optimum performance after 4 weeks. Up to then, it's one of those cases, don't be going around marking it, rubbing it and trying to like get a damp cloth on it to rub it away, because it's still curing over that period of time. Read the technical data sheet. If you're doing ceilings, who's going to be touching it? But be prepared that if you want the full maximum performance of this, you're looking at 4 weeks on, which isn't a problem on a ceiling, is it? No. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm just going to take you up there to show you a bit of the ceiling so you can see what I mean about flashing. But this, I think, a bit like all the paints that we're trying on this ceiling sort of paint, they're all very good and they're all very usable. Do you know what I mean? Usable. Anybody could use it. The downside is, and I don't want to say it as a downside negative, I think this is really good. It's priced right, because a 10-litre tub is about 50 something quid retail. This tub is around about 20 quid ish, within a couple of quid. It's priced right. Where the problems come with getting these sorts of paints to the public, the pro, is where you actually get it from. If you're ordering it online and you're used to ordering it online, you'll be ordering it. If you're somebody that's used to going into a shop to buy it, unless you've got somewhere that's got this, you're possibly not going to be trying it, which is a shame. If this paint was in your main retail decorators merchants, I can't say Dulux kind of, but if it was in your paint wells, if it was in your brewers, if it was in those ones that are nationally up and down the country, there's a good chance that the decorator that's been used to using an ordinary contract mat or even vinyl mat, heaven forbid a vinyl mat on ceilings, if you saw this and then have seen obviously my review saying how good it is, you would possibly give it a go, because it's priced right. The Tikkurillas, the Jurgers, the Isomats, they're all around that 50 to 60 to 70 price for a 10-litre tub. This is coming in at 50 retail. If you get a discount, you're getting it even cheaper. But do you know what? It's a really good paint. And I think the trouble is, decorators will be very set in the ways to what they're used to using and be happy with it without knowing that there's paints out there like this, like the Isomat, like the Jurger, like the Tikkurillas. If you've not used them, you'll stick with what you've got, because you'll say, I can't get hold of it very easy. And that's a shame. If these were rolled out to national suppliers of paint merchants, decorator suppliers, there's a good chance that everybody would say, oh, I really like that. Everybody will have their own preference. It's up to you. It's up to you. I'm only telling you what I'm thinking. That's a really nice paint. I'm really impressed with it. So let's go off camera. Let's go up there and let's have a look at what flashing looks like. Or should I say not flashing, because this is a flat paint. No flashing. Very low. Very, 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 very low sheen level. Right, I'm at the back of the room and obviously it's ceiling level. Now I know the lights are on, but looking towards the window, this is where you should be seeing flashing, either from the brush marks cutting in round the outside, or actual your roller bands. Now don't get confused with flashing and bad plastering, where you can actually get troweling that gives you a bit of a rimple effect that makes it look like it's flashing on a ceiling. You can tell the difference between flashing and actual bad plastering, but that is as flat as a pancake. Now I'll just turn on my torch on the phone and I'll shine it up and see if we can get anything else. I don't think you'll see anything, and what I'll do, I'll even turn off that light for you, so bear with me. Now the main light's off. I've got the phone to see if I can show anything up, but if I move that away, this is where you would be seeing flashing, and I'm not seeing anything, so I don't know what's showing up on the camera, even though I'm filming at high resolution. So I'm going to say to you, please take my word for it that I can't see anything, and I'm going up even higher to look across that ceiling. There's nothing there. And that's what we want with the ceiling. Flat as a pancake, nice white, smooth, clean, white finish. So there we have it, my lovers. Am I allowed to say that? I'm going to say really impressed with that. And if you get a chance to get hold of a tin of this, please give it a go. I'd only got 2.7 litres, which I've used about half of it on this small office room. But do you know what? Very impressed with it. And I would say to anybody, if you can get your hands on some of that Teknos ceiling paint, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So thank you very much to Scott at paintmonster.co.uk for reaching out to me and saying, Phil, do you want to try it? Because that's all it was. It was a sample tin to me. No money's changed hands, no sponsorship, no endorsement. It's just a free sample can that I've tried out on this job. So thank you very much for listening. See you on the next one. Hope you're enjoying the content. Comments, likes, you know the score.